Taking the November SAT in less than 24 hours. These are some last minute tips. They're going to instantly help you. And the reason that is they involve no practice, right? So all you have to do is just remember these things, take note of them lightly, and you'll be able to use them in your next SAT. But if you have a little more time, at least 30 minutes, there are strategies at the end that you can apply to see even more improvement than before. So hi, I'm Karthik. There's your last minute SAT tips and tricks. Let's get right into it. Okay. Every single elimination tactic, right? Eliminate on similarity. This idea is like, if you, specifically in reading, it's more applicable than reading than in grammar, but it technically can be applicable in grammar for those questions that aren't specifically grammar, but conceptual, right? So like the main idea, the evidence, right? And it's this idea that similar answers cannot be right. If like two specific answer choices are so similar in concept, right? Like there is no key difference between them. They're like almost exactly the same. They're saying essentially the same idea. They both can't be correct, right? So those can effectively be eliminated only if, right, they're both so heavily tied together. Okay, the second idea, and also keep in mind, with all of these strategies, they should be used as like a last tactic, right? They should be used if your initial tactics of actually knowing the right answer from the passage isn't working and you're effectively guessing, right? And you're guessing between all of them, right? You haven't eliminated any of them, then you use these, right? Use these from your initial process of elimination, from what you actually know from your intuition and your knowledge of the SAT. That is going to be 10 times more powerful than these, but these are just to squeeze out, like maybe 25 to 50% of those wrong answers that you get and get them correct using these strategies. So that's how you use these, right? Eliminate on extremism, right? Every single word, and mostly applicable to reading and grammar, that uses extreme language, right? Never, always, and maybe on some graphical math questions, right? Some where it'll show you a graph and it'll ask you some conceptual questions about it, and not like a y equals x graph, but I'm talking about like a data point graph or like something where it asks you about standard deviation. Anything that uses never, always is rarely correct unless the thing is explicitly mentioned in that passage, right? For math, it might actually be correct to some extent if like the case is actually true that it's never possible, and you need to be able to prove that it's never possible, right? Then you know it's correct. But for reading specifically, it's the same idea, right? Unless it's explicitly mentioned, right? In like word for word in the passage, it says this is never possible, right? Which almost will never happen, right? And it's kind of ironic that I say that because I say almost never, right? There's always like a small chance that it could potentially happen. And that's the same idea for why you can almost always eliminate on extremism, right? So only when it's explicitly mentioned is when it's correct. Partial accuracy elimination, right? So let's say in grammar and math, like in grammar, they add this comma in two of the answer choices, and you know that comma is incorrect because it combines two independent clauses. So that can't be correct. You can't just combine two independent clauses with just a comma. That's not allowed. Like you need to have at least like some form of fanboys with the comma in order to combine those two things. So you know that it's actually incorrect as a result, right? So, and let's say that's repeated in two of the answer choices, you can eliminate those, right? And with math, the similar idea, let's say like there's a numerator and denominator in every single answer. And let's say one of the denominators, is incorrect and it's repeated in two answers, you can eliminate those as well. So eliminate as much as you can with partial accuracy before you go into any of these other strategies as well. Eliminate on differences, right? For math questions, right? You typically, on some questions, you get this question order where it's like let's say all the answer choices are like the equation for some graph, right? Let's say for two of them, the slope is correct. For like two of them, the intercept is correct, right? And then for like one of them, the variable is correct, right? And, or, all of them, the variables are correct, regardless of whatever it is, right? Those groups of information where you have correct and incorrect, correct and incorrect. You don't actually need to know which one is correct or incorrect. You're going to notice that the correct ones are going to come up a lot more. They're going to show up in more frequency, and all the combinations of every single one that show up in more frequency and all of the answer choices are all going to be in one answer choice, and that is the correct one, right? So that correct answer choice is going to be like the one that repeats the most correct information. You don't need to know it's correct because you know it's correct, even though that's definitely helpful. So eliminating on partial inaccuracy first, but also like combining the fact that it's repeated the most, and that's how you know it's correct. Okay. Overall question order. Generally figure out what question types are hard for you, right? What are the repeated question types that you find so hard to do, so much so that you get them wrong like more than 50% of the time? Like you just struggle with that type of question. Skip those. Save them to the end. prioritize your time, right, for questions that you do know, that you do have good confidence over, that are easy to medium difficulty, right? Because those questions you know you can get correct, and you don't want to put any time pressure on those questions because it's going to reduce your score. You do want to put time pressure on questions that are already difficult for you, because the chance that you're going to get them right is already at a pretty low amount, right? So effectively, if you were going to get it right, you would be able to. And the idea is that is actually going to improve your score, because it's going to boost your accuracy on things that you're actually confident about, and it's not really going to reduce your accuracy on the things that you're not confident about, right? If you've been like allotting to the time in your practice as well. These are also, right, the skills you find very difficult. It's the very first thing you should do when you come out of the SAT is review them and learn them for December. Okay. Section specific things. All right. Math. Guess and check. This is so overpowered. Literally, anytime you get numbers or some sort of solution as the answer choice and you have to plug those in to see if them work, if you don't know how to solve the problem, just guess and check. Literally just guess and check all the answer choices. Like, you're going to be able to get it right as a result, right? And SAT loves, every time they do guess and checks, they love to like put D as the answer choice. So you go in order and then you do D. That's why I like to do A and then D and then B, C, right? So if it's a D, then you get it right, but also it doesn't waste too much time if it's something like B, right? And the chance that a C is probably low. It's just a strategy that I like doing for guessing and checking, is that specific order, but it's an easy way to just grab math points. If you don't know how to solve the problem, you can just grab these math points by implementing this technique. All right, grammar, brush up on the grammar rules that you struggle with the most, right? The ones that you're just not certain on. Go to College Panda's blog and look up the specific skill, right? Or Khan Academy videos, and then just watch them. Just the one that you feel most uncertain on, just brush up on it as much as you can. All right. Reading. There's nothing you can essentially do instantly that's going to boost your score, right? But if you have a couple hours, honestly, I recommend reading over the exams you've already taken. So the reading sections you've already taken, go to your incorrect answers and try again, right? If you haven't already, to figure out why you got them wrong and what you could do next time to stop that from happening. Two very common problems is like you don't pay attention enough to the passage. And for that, like, every time a question like repeats a certain like line, so it says like in line 23, it says this, what is the purpose, or this paragraph's purpose is to what, reread that with specific attention to detail by using your pencil. Like, go over every single word and mouth the words to yourself. I promise your retention is just going to go up with that passage and just what you understand from it as well. Okay. Your worst section, right? Go do this right now. In my last 4 videos, I've explained like tips for every single section that you can implement if you have at least 30 minutes, right? So go to that video for your worst section, watch it, take notes on it, and maybe apply that, or obviously instantly apply the things that take no additional effort, right? There's a lot of things like that. But if you have at least 30 minutes, pick one of those skills that involves like a little bit of extra effort and just go do it. The returns that you're going to get on your investment of that is just going to be insane, right? Especially if you're watching this the night before. Like, if you just commit 1 hour to your worst section, I promise you, with the things that I'm going to tell you to do, you're going to improve your score like at least a noticeable amount. Okay, if you feel unprepared for November, realize that this is your chance to like actually show up for December. You can take this and, you know, do well on it as well as you can. And honestly, seniors, know that your December SAT could be used to apply for some early actions by submitting it into the portal late, as well as all of your regular decisions, obviously. And this is also the last paper SAT is December. So focus all of your effort and your concentrations on that if you feel like you're unprepared for November and you feel like you can do better. If you're interested in SAT prep, click the link down in the description. Thank you guys so much. Do good on your SAT. You know, fill up your water, charge your calculator, do all the things that you need to do normally. And thank you guys so much. Good luck on your SAT. See ya.